Hey, lovelies, I'm back back in my shrine room, tarot studio, meditation hall, chamber of wonderments, room of requirements. I'm back in Oregon, and filming again here. And it's a beautiful sunny day. It's February 2nd, so in the United States, this is Groundhog Day. And I'm assuming the Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow because he always fucking sees his shadow. And there's always 6 more weeks of winter, according to that divination diva, that groundhog. But yeah, if you're seeing this on February 2nd, tomorrow, February 3rd at 9 a.m. Pacific time, I am holding an info session and a demo for my Mindful Tarot Certificate Program. If you're seeing this later and you're interested in the certificate program, please just check out the link below and be in touch. And I'll give you all the info. We're starting a new cohort in June of this year, June 2024. I'm super excited to keep going in this mentorship program. It's been hugely enriching for me. This year's cohort, I think they're an amazing bunch. They're so enlivening. They're doing all the work. They're doing all the things, and they're just a lovely group of people. And I am sure next year's cohort will be the same. Limited to 20 people total. Really an opportunity to work in depth, to get real hands-on mentorship from me, lots and lots of my time and energy, and lots of connection with the other members of the cohort. A hand-selected bunch, it's not just anyone can. If you're interested, be in touch. Meanwhile, it's the start of a new month, and I wanted to I've been talking about spreads a lot lately, and we'll be doing some real videos. It's been pretty crazy since I got back from Mexico, so I haven't been able to make videos, but I'll be filming more about spreads. But in the meantime, I want to say this because we're going into a new month. So if you're working with the Wheel of Life, right, or any kind of year ahead spread, you're used to thinking, okay, this is my February card, this is my January card. So my January card, for instance, was the Sun in the Ostara Tarot. My February card is the Four of Swords. Actually, I think it's the Four of Swords. There we go. Yep, I had it the first way. My hub card, so my card for the year itself, at the center of the wheel is the Emperor. Still not in love with this Emperor card. I need an Emperor my own age, people. I don't need like Mr. Burning Man hipster. If you do love this card, drop me a comment below and tell me why I should love it. I love that he's tattooed all over the place. I love that idea of carrying meaning inscribed on you, but a meaning that's also like the white border of this card. So it's kind of like, the Emperor's, the way the Emperor is all about structure and building a world and creating meaning and shaping the universe, and how that's also a part of how the universe shapes you. Like literally this box that he's in as a figure on a tarot card. How are we inscribed by our worlds? And how do we try to inscribe order in our world? So, I'm working with him. But anyway, this is my year card, my hub card, the card at the center of my wheel. So one practice I've been doing for a long time now to emphasize the way in which the wheel is not just looking at the movement through time of the events of my life this year. So my January card is the Sun, which is really important to me because I was just coming from Mexico, where the Sun was this was a god, was, the Aztec god Huitzilopochtli, was like huge. It was everything. I just spent every day leaning into the sun, like more, give me more. My vitamin D deficient Northwest US soul needs more, right? My soul needs soul, I was just like, yeah. It made sense that this would be my January card in terms of the turning of time of the wheel of the year. But for me, any spread, especially a Wheel of Life spread, is a mandala that's giving me a snapshot right now in this moment of how things are, in their interconnection and their interpenetration. So I'm also trying to think about how the sun is part of this year's turning moment by moment. And for that reason, I think I started this sentence saying that I've been doing a practice for a long time now. Of relating my month card to my hub card. So thinking about the relationship, not just in January of what it is to be living in the sun, but how the relationship between the sun and the emperor defines part of this year, defines a beat, as it were, in this year. So how does the month and the hub go together? So I think about Hubmonth. That's a kind of hashtag that we use on the Mindful Tarot Facebook page, people posting their hub cards with their month cards, especially at the beginning of the month. So Hubmonth last January 1st was the Emperor and the Sun. Now Hubmonth is the Emperor and the Four of Swords. So, how do these two cards together, and particularly that sense of what it is to come to rest, the fourness of the Emperor, which is a kind of stability, but how can that also be a suspension, a letting go of the effort to cut and carve and shape the world? How can, instead of the Emperor and all of his Aries Rams energy, how can the Emperor side of me, how can it be like this rabbit, and just allowing suspension and allowing myself to be held within structure? So hashtag Hub Month, February for me is expressed in these two cards. But I'm also interested in how each moment of my life this year can be expressed by what I call Rimmonth. So how can the movement from January to February, how is that movement something that I can be interested in, not just as I'm literally turning from January into February, but as part of my lesson, part of my learning, part of my self-teaching, part of my inquiry this year? Again, the wheel of as a whole, moment by moment, is turning. And at the same time, literally at the same time, all of those turnings are present in the mandala of this year. So at every point along the way, Sun and Emperor. At every point along the way, Four of Swords and Emperor. At every point along the way, this rim expression, this rim movement from Sun to Hare. So how now in February, turning from that brilliance and that saturation of energy and life, that vitality, that sense of clarity, how do I now come back into rest, into self? And what does that movement even mean for me? Because I feel like that's a movement that I keep enacting. And this is one of the ways in which the Wheel of Life teaches us that there's movement that literally we play out as the year unfolds, as the days unfold, season by season, month by month, day of month by day of month. But that movement is always also happening again and again in an instant. Every instant I'm living out this movement from January to February, from Sun to Four of Swords. Does this make sense? I'm suggesting that a wheel of life in its movement, in its expression of time, linear time, what goes around the rim of the wheel, is kind of fractal in that every moment within that wheel is also expressing that movement. So, hashtag Rimmonth is expressed in the relationship between these two cards, the Sun and the Four of Swords. And then hashtag Spokemonth, a third kind of spread, a third kind of reading that my Wheel of Life spread can give to me throughout the year. And that's thinking as the wheel turns, so there's expression of movement from one month to the next. Each month has a relationship to the center, so that hub month expression. And then there's a way in which there's a kind of tension across the whole expanse of the wheel. What's happening in January, which is at the top of the wheel, and what's happening in July at the bottom of the wheel. So that in January, that what I call Spokemonth, that sense of what's going on across. And I'll drop in an image to give a sense of what these 3 different readings are. In January, that spoke month was the relationship between my January card, which was the sun, and, wait for it, my July card. Why am I having... Okay, here we go. Which was the 6 of Pentacles. So January was sun, 6 of Pentacles was July. So they form a relationship across the wheel, one aspect to another. Now, in February, my spoke month is, this is an interesting one, is the 4 of Swords and the Queen of Swords. So that sense of that resting, that kind of retreating that I am expressing in this movement of February, this movement of this moment as I turn toward what's here right now, this aspect, and what do I want to say? This facet, there we go, this facet of the wheel. On the one hand, that's about the movement from the sun to the 4 of Swords. On another level, the spoke month, the movement from the 4 of Swords to the Queen of Swords. And not even the movement, but the tension across the wheel between the two. So how does this sense of retreat, how can that, or sense of rest, sense of coming back to a position of letting go, of surrender, of ceasefire, I'm in a lot of different interpersonal conflicts at the moment, that none of which is devastating, but taken together, there's a pattern here of what it is to let go of one's weapons, to put that self-defensiveness down. How does that relate to the grief of the Queen of Swords, the willingness to just carry the wound, to live as she's living in the face of being cut? So, my wheel of life, expressing a movement in time, thinking about how the rim of the wheel moves linearly, expressing a kind of relationship between each month and the year as a whole, that Hubmonth expression, and expressing also a kind of tension across the spread, the spectrum of the wheel, that Spokemonth expression. So 3 different 2-card spreads, if I want to think about it that way, that come out of the wheel of life, month by month. I will be on my Facebook page talking more about this and talking more about spreads in general. I hope this makes sense. I feel like it's a little bit abstract, but maybe I can drop in some images and help clarify things. And feel free to ask questions in the comments below. And absolutely, if the way I talk about tarot, if the possibility of working together closely over the course of a year is enticing or intriguing, do come to the info session tomorrow, February 3rd. Drop me a note. I'll connect you up with information if you can't make tomorrow's session. The link is, actually, I'm not going to put the link in below, so email me or go to my website. But be in touch. Stay connected. And as always, I thank you so much for your practice. Take good care.